okay, how do the Packers defend the run? Because this is going to be the bread and butter once again for the Eagles. Even without Jason Kelce, they've got a great offensive line. They added Saquon Barkley, and we know Jalen Hurts is especially dangerous with his feet. So as it happens, last year the Packers were bottom 5 in yards allowed on the ground and also bottom 10 in yards per carry. So I feel like this is the key
Yeah.
matchup, and that's why I'm kind of leaning with you on the Eagles here.
Yeah, I feel that way as well. I'm big on the Eagles, and I just think that they've made the right moves in the offseason to really maximize the talent on this roster. Talent is not an issue. That's the thing with the Eagles. When you look at the talent, they're just massively talented. I think Nick Sirianni has learned, and remember, his job situation, I mean, his job was kind of hanging in the balance for a while because of how they finished the year last year. Didn't they go like 1-5 to end the season? And there was that tension between himself and Jalen Hurts. And so the Philly brass gave him the benefit of the doubt, but he brings in 2 new offensive coordinators, and now Jalen Hurts has more control of that offense. I feel like he will be able to grow within this offense. And then you mentioned Saquon. I just think he's such a difference maker. I'm such a Saquon guy. And I always feel bad when there are special talents in any league, but they're hamstrung by either the guys around them or the guys in front of them or a coaching situation, whatever it may be. And Saquon has run behind a putrid line for so long when he was with the G-men. Now he gets an offensive line, even without Jason Kelce, that is still very, very good, one of the better offensive lines in the league, and you can't focus on stopping him because the Eagles have so many weapons. I think he's going to have a huge year, and the Eagles are going all in, traded for Jahan Dotson as their number 3, making that switch with the Commanders a few weeks ago. I'm just big on the Eagles. I think Jordan Love was fantastic in the latter half of last season. That's why he got that contract. But when you're getting a number below 3 here, then I think I'm rolling with Philly.
I think if you want to back Saquon in this one, you simply
Mm-hmm.
just take his props. Because I do think the Eagles will be wanting to use their shiny new toy, especially against this Packers defense that wasn't that great at stopping the run last year. So I think there are a couple options here. Either you can look at his rushing yardage prop at 64.5, or what about an anytime touchdown score? It feels like Saquon makes his way into the end zone. If it's me, minus 105 feels like a very palatable price for somebody who not only can run it in, but also has pretty solid hands as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if I'm going to be sweating anything tonight for this Eagles and Packers game, it's going to be Saquon getting into the end zone.
What are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts? Does he take another step forward this season? Because he had 2 things working against him last year. Number one is Nick Sirianni was meddling a lot into that offense, and there were times when there was just a real disconnect between those 2 guys. And then number 2, Jason Kelce isn't there to set the line, to call out plays, to call out alignment, and that's a massive responsibility. So my thought is, okay, if Nick Sirianni is more hands-off, and Jason Kelce is one of the best to do it, but if Jalen Hurts feels more comfortable taking on that role, he can grow in his role as a quarterback. And look, he's not at his ceiling yet, but he can certainly be better than he was last year. I think this will be a good test for him to see how much he can improve based on the loss of Kelce, but also more autonomy in that offense.
All right, so let's talk about the Eagles tonight playing on a Friday night in Brazil. So for me, some of these international games, they feel a little wonky, and it feels like there's some added X factor that I don't really like playing. But let's talk about the X's and O's. Matchup wise, do you think this is a good matchup for the Eagles going against the Packers tonight?
Yeah, I really do. I think it's funny to say this in week 1, but I really do think the Eagles are catching the Packers at a great time, right? Now, we know that the Packers ended the season strong. They're one of the most talented young teams in the NFL. Jordan Love really took that big leap, and I think a lot of people are expecting him to take another leap in LaFleur's offense. And with those young receivers, he definitely can. But, I think the hype might be a little bit too much. So, like, beating the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs is not the flex that you think it is, right? Like, Mike McCarthy has a history there. The Cowboys have a history of not going far in the playoffs. So, while it was a good season, I'm not sure that they're going to be at that level where they're a top team in the NFC. I think they'll probably be around that 10-win marker, be a wild card team, still Detroit's division. If we want to talk X's and O's in this matchup, to me, why I really like the Eagles tonight, I did play them on the money line. is that it's really the offense. They have the new offense under Kellen Moore. There's going to be a lot of motion. It was something that was sorely lacked last year, and the Packers are rolling in. A new defensive coordinator, a new scheme, and one that's coming from college and is going to be very aggressive. Adam Chernoff talked a lot about this. A lot of the, people in the industry have really zeroed in on the Eagles' offense and their ability to have success against this Packers defense tonight. Now, it's week 1, so you wonder, like, hey, is there going to be a little bit of rust with these guys? It's like an extended version of preseason, but I just think when you have a defense in Green Bay that's going to play a lot of cover 1, that's a tough way to make a living against guys like A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. So I'm really expect the Eagles to be able to score points. And when you look at the other side of the ball, the Eagles defense, which was horrendous last year, brings in Vic Fangio, who historically has done a pretty good job of containing offenses. And I think that's going to be key for them tonight against the Packers, just not let up the explosive plays and make the Packers methodically move down the field.
Mark, do you like the Eagles? What is their I mean, you obviously like the Eagles, but what do you think there's? I know you do. But when you talk, I have them winning the Super Bowl. That's how good I think they're going to be this season. So if you can push maybe your fandom aside a little bit, is that a realistic possibility? Do you see that happening?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, we've seen a lot of people in the industry jump on that. Cleve TA, who does outstanding work. He puts out his free NFL preview, probably the best preview in the industry. One of the best previews in the industry. He took the Eagles to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So I think when he does that, people kind of perk up and listen. You're seeing some other people kind of jump on that, but they have the talent. Like last year was not necessarily a talent issue. It might've been on defense. They had to get younger in the secondary, but offensively, like this roster is loaded. Like they have everything. And the play calling was really an issue last year. We're going to find out. Some people think it might be Hurts and his ability to adapt to, when he gets pressure. But I really think that, Kellen Moore is going to come in there and he's going to, be able to simplify things with him. Like I said, putting people in motion. It's just huge for a quarterback. And that's why all the successful teams do it. So I think that's going to help Philadelphia, and their offense. And it's an offensive league. Like defense, you just have to make some big stops. Like we see that at Chiefs every year. You don't really need to have a lockdown defense to win Super Bowls in the NFL. So when you look at the Eagles in terms of the landscape of the NFC, I really think it's like them, Detroit, and San Francisco. I know we talk about the NFL as like a league of parity, but I just think as front offices become more important and free agency becomes more watered down, the parity is going to start to erode. And I really do think you're going to see, the top teams with the top front offices. And that could change. You could see regimes change, but I think you're going to see more long-standing teams at the top in the NFL.